Okay, my name's Tom Crane. I'm the Technical Director of Digirati. We're a digital agency based in the UK, in London and Glasgow. This is Ed Silverton, who's the lead developer of the Universal Viewer that we're about to see in a bit. I'll just like to give you a background, see if these keys, yes they do. So, background about our involvement with IIIF and with the Wellcome Library. So, just to introduce, the Wellcome Trust is the world's second largest funder of medical research, second only to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And the Wellcome Library is a key part of the Wellcome Trust that was founded in, I think, the 1930s and holds significant collections, particularly pertaining to medical history, life sciences history, but also many medieval manuscripts and works of art of other kinds as well. But it holds a lot of archives of 20th century scientists as well, and is a working research library that's free and open to the public. So the Wellcome Library contracted us in 2013 in 2012, in fact, and started work in 2013, to build a digital delivery system to present the output of their digitisation programme, which had been running for some time under Christy Henshaw's capable hands there. But they didn't have a way of presenting it to the world, and so we built a digital delivery system for them, and a key component of that was the Wellcome Player. And as we've seen on slides before, we built that in a silo, because we didn't know any better at the time. We constructed, it worked perfectly, it was quite highly regarded, it started being used by other people, but it was not interoperable. And then we became aware of IIIF, and we started doing some experiments with the Wellcome Player to see how easy it would be to introduce IIIF support to it, and it proved to be relatively straightforward. Same time as that, in late 2014, the British Library started to do comparative analysis of viewing tools so that they could pick a viewing tool which they could then take to become their universal viewer to replace the 27 different silos that they had. Because typically, a large institution like the British Library, each funding programme to digitise a collection will generate another silo, and they'll all stack up alongside each other. So the early part of this year, 2015, we've done some work with the British Library to add lots of new features that they wanted to the Wellcome Player codebase as part of their Universal Viewer project, and to fully support the IIIF2 specification. And the other thing the Wellcome Player does is, the Universal Viewer does, is support formats other than image sequences, which is a topic that is going to be discussed in the next couple of days. So we're going to give so by the end of this year, we're hoping that all the IIIF material available for the Wellcome Library, which is up to, as Christy mentioned, over 5 million images, will be 10 million, 15 million, 20 million images. We should start to see all that available in the Universal Viewer as IIIF, and we should also start to see the British Library using the Universal Viewer to expose their collections. So what we're going to do, we're going to give a little demo of some of the features of the Universal Viewer, but we're going to do it in kind of the opposite way around to Mirador. Ed's going to show you how easy it is to get going with the Universal Viewer, both from the point of view of seeing it already in use somewhere and embedding it, and also how to get it running in your own environment, customizing it, and getting it working with your own content. So if I play this video in QuickTime and turn the sound off.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll do that one there.
No, it is off. Okay, so let's.
Okay, so.
Oh no, sorry. Yes, sorry. It's yeah. Right, let's full screen that and start to. Is it playing? Yes, it is. There it goes.
Okay, so I created a video just for ease of presentation here, but this is available on Vimeo. So I'm Ed Silverton, as Tom mentioned, with Digirati on the Universal Viewer. This is a really simple HTML page here. Let's look at it in a browser. How do we go about embedding the Universal Viewer in this page? So let's look at the Wellcome Library first and find an item of interest in there. So we'll look for the Wellcome Apocalypse, and that will bring up some results. Click View Online. So we can scroll through here and find an item of interest, zoom in, and then if we click on the Embed button, it will generate some embed code for us. So if we copy that and return to the simple web page and paste in the embed code. If we then save that and return to our browser and refresh, and then there it is. It's at the same zoom level. So how do we use the newer version of the player, the Universal Viewer? So if we go to the GitHub organization, Universal Viewer, we've got several repositories on here. This is the Universal Viewer itself. We have a README showing you how to get set up. We have beginnings of some documentation here, an about page with some background information, a guide to embedding with all the various options, a theming guide, which the National Library of Wales have used. So let's look at a demo site we created for the Universal Viewer. This is some of Welcome's content. We can expand into the sort of full book mode, find another interesting picture, zoom in on that, and then again click on the embed button, copy the embed code, and then let's replace the existing embed code with this new code, and save and refresh. And then there we are again with the Universal Viewer. So this is embedding from an external website. What about if we want our own copy of the Universal Viewer running on our website rather than embedding from an external domain? So the way to do that is to go to the releases page, and then you can download the latest release of the UV as a zip file. And then you just need to extract that. Wait for that to happen. And then copy that. And then let's copy that into our demo site example alongside our index page. So let's have a quick look in there. We have, these are all the files that the Universal Viewer requires to operate. So if we now go back to our text editor, and if we look at the embed code here, there's an item called data. We need to change the part of the embed.js first. Sorry. So I should probably pause that quickly and explain what's happened. Well, what we've done there, we've changed the path to the embed.js, which was originally pointing at the external website. We're now pointing at our local copy of the Universal Viewer. So if we now go back to our page and refresh, nothing's any different, although you're now using your own local copy of the Universal Viewer. So we've created another demo site for the National Library of Wales. If we have a quick look at that. This is slightly different. It has a logo in the top left corner. This is because we've got a theming system and we've created a custom theme for the National Library of Wales. They could change anything they like about the look of the viewer. And there's also a language toggle button in the top left corner, right corner. So you can see the labels here have changed to their Welsh equivalents everywhere in the whole application. You can also toggle the language using the settings dialog in the top right corner. So what do we need to do to enable this language toggle? So in our own copy of the viewer. So if we scroll down, there's various options under here in this demo site that we've created, including a configuration editor. So if we expand the modules node here, and then paging header panel, so there's a option there, locale toggle enabled. If we set that to false, and then click save, the toggle button has disappeared. So if we now scroll back and open that up again and re-enable it, we can now, there's a button here, JSON button, we can click in there and copy the JSON code that's been generated by the configuration editor, and anything about the viewer can be configured in this way. If we now go back to our demo site and create a new file and paste the configuration in, and then save that as myconfig.json, all we're interested in here is the locale toggle enabled configuration. So we can delete everything else. This is possible because the configuration we're creating is just an override of the existing configuration. So let's delete everything else. So we've got we end up with a very simple configuration file here. Save that. Now if we return to our index page, strange talking over my own video. Find a data config attribute here. We can put in the path to the configuration file I just created, myconfig.json, and save and refresh it. And there you go. There's a toggle that works. So click on that, and you've got the Welsh equivalent. Of course, we can add more languages if we need to at a later date. We've only got Welsh at the moment, but it'd be amazing to get other contributions. We're using a site called Transifex, so you can create an account on there and you can type in translations.
Yes, it's a great platform for crowdsourced translations, and so we're not talking there about translations of content, we're talking about translations of the actual UI of the viewer. And also the internationalization setting determines what language-specific metadata from the presentation API is actually used in the viewer. So, for example, if your labels and values are available in Welsh, then they'll be presented by the viewer. So let's just have a quick look at some features. So just to stress that what we were looking at there was not obviously the viewing experience of the viewer from the end user point of view. This is how you could take the universal viewer, use it on your own website, and configure its default appearance for how you want it to appear in your library catalogue or whatever. So let's just have a look at some other. Hang on, let's just present this. And click on that. So let's hope some demos work here. So here we're going to look at a manifest loaded from the welcome library again on our test viewing page, and we're going to show some services such as search within. So this is the origin of species, and you can see here that although this is being paged, the actual paging information is the wrong way around. We need to correct the recto and verso here. Let's do a search within this book. Let's pop it back to single page view, and let's do a search. So Rob mentioned the additional services that a viewer that understands them could reference from. You can see the declaration of services in the manifest and call them. So we have two services here. We have a search within service and an autocomplete service, and that should be. I've got three there, haven't I? Why is that not? Hang on. Oh yeah, sorry. It was just a bit slow. Okay, let's try that again. So yeah, so if we search for some words in the origin of species, is that highlighting? Yeah, so I can't see the. Yeah, so for example, here we have two results for that word, and we can go and find them in the text. And this, although autocomplete seems a bit odd, it's actually a really, really useful feature within a single work, especially if that work is of a technical nature or has lots of technical terms in it. We've also got some, I'm going to show a video of this one very quickly because we only have 1 minute left, have a right to left feature. So how are we doing for time? 60 seconds? So here at the British Library we have, is that playing? No, okay. Here, this is some British Library content, and this is right to left content, and you can see that obviously the recto and verso are the other way around, but even subtle things which aren't immediately apparent when you're trying to render the UI are also different. So for example, the layout direction of thumbnails has to flow the other way. When you page backs and forwards or search for a particular page, that has to highlight the correct one. And again, the manifest, the presentation API, conveys to the viewer the information about whether this work is right to left or even top to bottom. We have some examples of those in the British Library as well. So you can see here that that's not a very good example of metadata there, but if we open the thumbnails panel on the other side, you'll see that even the order in which thumbnails load in and flow needs to be from right to left to preserve a kind of good viewing experience, because we found that when we did this, we thought it didn't matter which thumbnail started first, which image request was called in first, but it actually does. If you're used to reading right to left, then you want them flowing in, even loading in that direction. So we have right to left, left to right, obviously, top to bottom, and bottom to top as potential viewing hints. I think we're out of time.